Dear Excellencies, thank you for inviting me, Mr. Chairman, and giving me the opportunity to address you all. My name is Abid Raja, and I bet you were not expecting someone like me when you heard the Vice President of the Storting, the Norwegian Parliament, is going to speak to you. I assure you, I am not a brown Viking. I'm only brown. I have no Viking blood here. My grandfather was actually in the British Army. My father was born in what is today India. At his age of 10, Pakistan was created. They moved to their belonging village. 25 years later, he was on the move again. He came to Germany, worked there for a while, moved to Denmark, ended up in Norway. I was born in Oslo, and here 40 years later, I'm standing representing the Norwegian Parliament. Surely the world today is not what it was yesterday, and surely it won't be the same tomorrow. And our job, your job, our job together is to make sure that the world is as best as possible for the generations after us. And dear colleagues, we need to do more, and we need to do better, because the bad guys are increasing and in many ways winning. I'm not gonna scare you all, but we need to acknowledge what is happening right in front of us. And after that, we need to react. To stand passively is not a choice we can accept, and not the one that we can recommend. These are some of the horrific and monstrous acts of terror in Europe just last year. Brutal, planned, cold-blooded terror. It's not just in one area of one particular country, it's happening all over Europe. Therefore, we are all potential victims. Therefore, we all need to do more. All our countries are harboring terrorists of yesterday, terrorists of today, and terrorists of tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, more than 170 plots and attacks has happened in 15 different European countries last 3 years. We need to wake up and we need to take action. The bad news is that the bad guys are winning. The good news is that we, the good guys, we are a lot more, we have more resources, and we can outmaneuver the bad guys. We can stop the recruitment of new fresh blood to their bloody meaningless cause, and we can turn a lot of them back from disastrous road and reintegrate them. This is Ali Chisti, right over there. He's a Norwegian born with Pakistani parents. His father was the head imam of the largest mosque in Norway. Here at the dialogue meeting about religious conflict, he's shouting out something. This is me, this is the Crown Prince of Norway. Yeah, I know, we look alike. All of the Norwegians look alike. But Ali, he's shouting something, and I quote, he's shouting, quote, "Norwegians are born with skis, Brazilians with football, Jews are born with deceit and hypocrisy in their blood." Quote that. Yes, we have trouble among the minorities in Norway too. Yes, we too are facing some of the problems Bradford and Manchester has, some of the problems suburbs around Paris has, some of the problems in Molenbeek. Yet, same issues as many European countries. Because if you look at the minority Muslim youth all over Europe, they have a lot of common history, background, upbringing. They have the same issues. And dear friends, many of the symptoms of the problems are exactly the same. But the good thing is that many of the solutions are then also the same. Europe can actually do something, and also we can, or you can actually do something. Let's look at the many of the Muslims you have in common. What do they have in common? And I will generalize a little, and the danger is that my points can be misunderstood. Therefore, I just wanted to start by saying, yes, I was born as a Sunni Muslim. I am Muslim. I was spokesman for one of the largest mosques during my student years in Oslo. And all I'm going to say is just because of the love of the children that are growing up in Europe and my dream for Europe. Because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, I will use myself as an example. My mother, she was illiterate. My father worked in a steel factory. I grew up in government housing. I was taught not to mingle with girls. Those relations were haram. Impure. Those feelings have to be controlled, to be tamed. Love must be suppressed. You have to be feeling bad if you are feeling dirty, or you're feeling in love with somebody. You have to feel dirty. You have to suppress your feelings. Teachers at school when I was young thought about many of us that we would not be able to achieve our dreams. I dreamt I'll become a lawyer. The teacher said, you won't be able to become one. It's just too hard. And Norwegian is not even your first language. I getting beaten up when I was at the Quran school. We had to go to the Quranic school, and the imam at the Quran school used to beat us up. Even my father, actually. He was beaten by his father, and of course I should need some beating too. If he regrets, I asked him, and he said sometimes, son, I beat you, you become a member of parliament. I should have beaten you harder, you would become prime minister. In addition, every day, the press is writing something about Muslims. The politicians are telling how Muslims are and not are, and the welfare states are calculating how expensive migrations and Muslims are, the burden, the rate of criminality, not paying taxes, not contributing, and the research at the same time, also in Norway, is showing that you have significantly less chance to get work just because your name is different. And I'm married to a clinical psychologist. She will tell you all there is to know about what beating does to kids, how it feels to suppress the basic feelings of love growing up, how it is to have poor upbringing, how it affects children when the school, politicians, society, media don't think well of you, and they actually expect you to fail. And dear friends, angry children become angry youth, and angry youth, they become angry adults. And if we don't know what the common factors of Muslim youth in Europe are, then how are we going to deal with the factors? And then we have to act on the factors when we know it, and this is the only fruitful way forward for Europe. Now this is dramatic. The numbers are dramatic. It's some uncertainties, of course, but Europe has produced between 3,000 to 5,000 foreign fighters. Oliver Roy, French expert, says 60% of these violent jihadis are second generation, born like me. They're like me, born in Europe, second generation. 15% are third generation. 25% of them are converts who like violence and seek to that. And my question is, and I have three questions to OSCE and to Europe, and that is, the first question is, what are we going to do with the legislation? How are we going to deal with the foreign fighters? In Norway, planning solo terrorism, encouraging terrorism, recruit or to be recruited, give or receive training for purpose of and to join terror organizations are forbidden. Should Europe have equal plans for legislation? Norway has had some 100 jihadis, 10 of them women. Some 40 are back, 20 are dead, 40 of them we don't know where are. Backgrounds from Pakistan, Somalia, Kosovo, white Norwegian converts. Over here, he's actually from Chile. Came to Norway. This guy's from Iraq. He recruited him. This guy, Moldin, sent him to ISIL. He's now dead. Moldin, he's back in Norway. I'm going to come to Moldin in a bit. First question is the legislation. The second is these jihadis are serving, some of these jihadis are serving jail in Europe. What is going to happen the next 3 to 7 years when many of them will be coming out of jail? The main entrepreneurs, when they will come out, what do we think they're going to do? What do we think they're doing in jail? And we know, colleagues, that already the majority of the plots that has happened in Europe is linked at least to one foreign fighter. My third question is, what about the propaganda from jihadis on the internet? How do we make that propaganda less accessible? Now we know that youth are self-radicalizing themselves. They don't need to be recruited in flesh and blood. You can just download and be fast-tracked radicalized. So policy must be made towards internet groups and providers. What will OSCE do about this? As a Muslim, I believe in life. As Muslim, as a European, I believe in life. And I love life. I guess, I hope, Mr. Chairman, you also love life? You love life? Yes, he says, of course he loves life. But Osama, you heard about Osama? Osama bin Laden said, and many jihadis said, as he said, I quote, we love death as you love life. And we Europeans, we need to know this. If you in your upbringing are hearing this, learning this, then this fuel is very easy to ignite. It's just too easy. If the seed in your childhood is kill and die for the Prophet is honorable, then you know it's very easy to ignite that fuel. Therefore, moderate Muslims need to stand up against these killers who are hijacking our belief and our religion. We need to stand up and say, no. No killing in my name, no killing in the name of my religion. And the biggest threat against these martyr, death-loving terrorists are not white non-Muslims, or infidels as they call you guys. It is to be cast against us, Muslims who are believers but love life, and say there is no such thing as paradise if you're a suicide bomber. There's no glory. We moderate Muslims, we can strip the victorious purpose many of these misfits claims to their agenda in life. These are shameful crimes against humanity, against all religious beliefs. These are simply cowards. And I think Europe needs us moderate Muslims to stand up with you, and I think only with the help of religious groups we can be successful in Europe. But this will not come without cost. This is one of many Norwegian extremists I have stood against, and then sometimes they make a movie. Let's look at the movie this guy had made, a short clip. Can we play this movie?
Vel Abid, vi muslimer får samler I velmelser hver eneste gang du åpner den stygge, skitne kjeften din. Må han meg holde stum og død, jeg det Allah. Først så sendte jeg den filmen Abid Qayyum Raja meldingene fordi denne vantro foreldren har hålet islam muslimer over lang tid. Vite med sikkerhet at denne du Allah, Abid Raja ikke muslim. Han en murtad kafir som har utført handlinger av kuffer I lang tid.
Yes. Yes, he's also not a brown whiting. He's very brown in opinions as well. Okay, we cannot give up hope. Some of you remember the Norwegian synagogue in Oslo was threatened. A group of young Muslims, they took the initiative to form a peace ring holding hands, circling around the synagogue. As you can see here, the Muslims are circling around the synagogue. It became actually world news. It was everywhere in the world. What the world didn't know that this man who took the initiative is actually the same Ali Chisti. I gave you the guy who was standing with a finger up in the air, where the crown prince was when he was saying something about the Jews. He took the initiative because he was changed. 6 years after he said Jews are born with hypocrisy in their blood and deceit, now he actually took the initiative to say, hey, we will stand up and defend the Jews in Norway. Nobody's going to harm them. We are with them. And this is one of the examples of that you can actually change people. We have seen it, I contributed to it, and seen extreme people in Norway actually change their opinions. But of course we should not be naive. We will not be able to change all. The hardcore ones, the many others will not be able to change. Therefore European intelligence and police is needed to exchange information cross-border. We need to have surveillance, and we need the politicians to make legislation and plans how to tackle these issues together. And friends, we need to start the changing process early. We also need to plant some seeds. We need to plant the seed of freedom in the early school ages to counter the extreme seeds we know that other people are planting. And we have to nourish these seeds and hope they will grow into something beautiful. And we need to change and challenge the narrative that Muslims, that they are victims in Europe. No, we are not victims in Europe. Another thing we all must do is this. I think you all have them in your country. I'm not talking about women in general, I'm talking about shameless women. These are some of the shameless women in Norway. They call themselves that. I wouldn't dare calling them otherwise. And Norway is empowering shameless women in Norway. The Parliament has granted 5 million Norwegian kroners this year so they can fight against negative social control. I know that you all have them in your countries, women who stand up against the culture and they are beaten up and they're socially excluded. Friends, the liberation and empowering of Muslim women is the key to achieve success against extremism. Now it's a little, I'm also in IPP4, some of you might maybe have heard about it, it's International Panel for Freedom of Religion and Belief. We started 3 years ago working against religious intolerance and promoting it to our team, and we have grown from actually, for the last 3 years, from 5 countries into 70 countries, and now we are a group of 300 parliamentarians who are trying to get more religious freedom in the world. And 70 years after the declaration, the Universal Human Rights Declaration, more than 70% of the people of the world are living in countries who restrict freedom of religion. And I think we need to do more to enforce the legislation we already have in place, but also to create more freedom of religion for the people. Okay, I'm coming to the end, but I'm going to say something that I have a dream for Europe, and that is that we are able to integrate all Muslims in Europe in one Europe. And I think we can do this. I think this is possible. As one of the scholars in France, Gilles Capel, said, we need to win the hearts and minds of young Muslims. And we always, in Europe, usually we talk about integration in four terms. We talk about, hey, you need to learn the language, you need to take education, you need to get a job, and you need to not break the law. And if you've done these four things, language, and you have the education, you have a job, and you're not breaking the law, then you're integrated. But friends, you're not fully integrated. We need to address the issues of values. What kind of values do we need Europeans to acknowledge to? The Human Rights Declaration, it states much more than these things. How about freedom of expression, freedom of speech? What about religious freedom? Is one religion the best one? Or can every religion be okay? Can you leave your religion? Can you convert? How about women's rights? What about sexual minorities? What about democracy? These are a lot of the issues we need to integrate everybody in Europe into, also the Muslims. Dear colleagues, in the end I have a challenge for OSCE. I have a challenge for OSCE. I think it's 8 years since OSCE had a summit with heads of states. Shouldn't OSCE try to have a summit in 2020 where the topics should be how to integrate Muslims in Europe, best practices, and how to prevent and combat religious extremism? This is my challenge for OSCE, and I hope you'll take it. If you take it, I promise I will contribute in every capacity I have. This is also personal for me, because I have 3 kids. I have 3 small kids, and I want them to grow up in Europe free of religious prejudice and extremism. I want them to grow up without the racism, without being feared or hated, and free of negative social control. I hope OSCE will accept my challenge, Mr. Chairman. A summit is needed. OSCE is needed. Thank you all, and God bless Europe.